What's up, guys? To my amplified unit, the red team. To my channel members, salute. Seth Rollins versus CM Punk. If this match was not inevitable coming out of Survivor Series, it's absolutely inevitable coming out of last night's house show in Peoria, Illinois, where Seth Rollins got very candid once again on how he feels about CM Punk. Now, full transparency. First and foremost, we fully expect this to be a work. But sometimes the best works, the best storylines in pro wrestling are encompassed, embodied, engulfed in real situations, real feelings. And this has all the makings of such. So whether it's a work or not should not be the big discussion in the wrestling community. Just enjoy this, because this is everything that we hoped the real situation in AEW would have become if Punk did stick around. If they were able to make this work, maybe you can make what happened in that organization, maybe you put that into a massive storyline. In this case, you're basically taking Hangman Page and replacing him with Seth Rollins, right? It's Rollins that doesn't feel CM Punk. He's the ringleader in the group that doesn't feel CM Punk belongs there. And he's going to be the one in the locker room to stand up above everybody else and proclaim such. And last night at the house show in Peoria, Illinois, he did so yet again. He's addressing the crowd. The crowd starts up in a CM Punk chant, and Rollins gets visibly upset. Again, we expect this to be a full work, but the way they're doing it is just brilliant. It's blurring the lines. It's creating enough realism, so much realism, that everybody on the interweb machine is arguing with one another. It's a full work. No, it's a little bit of a work. They're going to turn it into a bigger work. Everybody's kind of right. I truly believe that these wrestlers right now, more Seth Rollins than anything else. Punk just came through the curtain. That's all he's done so far. Rollins is taking it upon himself to plant all these seeds. This is good business. And then they're just hoping that these seeds plant one of the biggest trees that WWE has seen grow in a long time. But these are seeds being planted by the wrestlers, I believe, more than what creative has for them. Hopefully creative will follow suit and give them the proper booking, because this has all the makings to be something really fun. So what are we talking about? Let me actually play you the audio of last night. This is in Peoria, Illinois. Seth Rollins just got done with a title match. He's addressing the crowd. The crowd kind of hijacks his speech with a CM Punk chant. And he has some words. He does not hold back.
And I'll tell you why I appreciate that right there, guys. I appreciate that because we are less than 24 hours removed from one of the most brutal matches I've ever been in my entire life. War Games. And you guys watched War Games last night?
CM Punk chants. He's visibly angry. He just puts the microphone to his head like, seriously? He thinks about what he's going to say.
You already know how I feel about that. I said as much last night. I'm not going to waste any more breath on somebody who's been gone for 8 years, has done nothing but try and tear this place down. Instead, I want to take my time, waste my breath, use my breath. I'm talking about the people who've been here all along. That's everybody.
So this was a live event. This was fan footage that was caught. But what he said after these CM Punk chants, he thought about it, put the microphone to his head like, I don't even want to talk about this right now. Are we seriously going to do that? It's a house show. Screw it. Let's rock. He says, I don't even want to waste my breath talking about somebody who's been gone for 8 years. I think it's been like 9 years. Who's been gone for 8 years and has done nothing but try to tear this place down. He says, instead, I want to talk about everybody in the back that's been here all along. So again, if this is what we expect it to be, Seth Rollins planting seeds for a really good story with Punk, guys, this is great. I mean, they're going to play on the real life situation, which is, again, what we were hoping was going to happen if business conducted further with AEW. They're going to go with the whole kind of locker room Punk real drama thing, and I think that's brilliant. That's a storyline that could be up there with the Bloodline for best in recent memory. So, very interesting, man, for that to take place at that house show, knowing that that will still make the headlines, whether it's a Monday Night Raw or a live event in Peoria, Illinois. But that is so telling as to what Seth Rollins is going to do going further, because you can't go back now. Paul Levesque McMahon, nobody, Nicholas Khan, a Brewster Pritchard, nobody can now go up to him and go, dude, we need you to scale back. We're not going to go that way. Maybe we're going to have you kind of team up with Punk, try to coexist, and we're going to put you in like Judgment Day matches. I don't know if you can do that now. You saw what happened after Survivor Series. You saw the flipping off, screaming, fuck you, come here, motherfucker, the F-bombs in front of kids front row. You don't come back from that. Now at house shows, he's saying, I don't even want to talk about somebody that doesn't belong here. Been gone for 8 years, and all he tries to do is tear places down. I want to talk about everybody who's been here. I feel this is so good because it is just so real. It is. A large part of it is for the smart fan, but the casual fan can easily follow along. It's not confusing. It's not that hard to tell the casual fan what's happening. Oh, this is Punk. This is what happened over the last 9 years and how long he's been away, and he seems to burn bridges, and this guy, who's a fighting champion, doesn't even like what Roman, his good buddy, is doing. He's been very vocal about said wrestler, CM Punk, and now Punk is back. And yeah, automatic friction. It's a pretty easy story to tell, right? Like, this is a situation that rings a perfect place to settle it. It's pretty simplistic in nature, but epic in overall tone. And I'll just take, because this is interesting discussion, a comment from Vince Russo over the last 24 hours that I don't agree with at all, because I think the opposite. It's actually brilliant if you're trying to spark a story that people are going to care about. How they're going about it is actually nothing short of brilliant. And again, I got to put all this on Seth Rollins more than anything. But Vince Russo recently said, but as much as I applaud WWE and Triple H for bringing back CM Punk, the creative is just questionable. Having Rollins just throw a hissy fit when he sees Punk is just plain stupid. Why? Because if Rollins didn't know Punk was going to show up, which of course he did, says Vince Russo, so he knows it's a work. He's saying if Punk shows up, no professional would ever act that way, the way that Rollins did. Only a wrestler would act that way. It's just stupid. Wrestling booking once again. The wrestling creative in general just needs to grow the fuck up. Now, at times, he's absolutely correct, right? If you see Aerobics Tozawa dancing with a bag of potato chips, for instance, yes, creatively, we can think of a better way to probably sell Ruffles potato chips at the Survivor Series. I agree. But in this situation, when you say no professional would act that way when Punk comes out, absolutely wrong. Read the room. Know the situation. If you know the history between them, because they were major headlines when Rollins was talking all of that game over to CM Punk. There were major headlines. And if you see how this was done at Survivor Series, this was more for the smart fan, right? When that graphic showed up, the trademark, and that's how you know when a show is basically done, that like end signature, that little box shows up in the corner, you pretty much know the show is going off the air. That's when the casual fan got what they wanted, right? All the faces. It's like the casual fan that goes to the house show. They just want a night out, and they just want to see all the baby faces win matches. And yell their chants and smile on their way out and thank mommy and daddy for taking them to wrestling. Who knows? But it's for that fan, right? All the faces have their hands raised. The graphic shows up. The show's ended. Michael Cole, Corey Graves are off the headset. And only then, Phillip Brooks comes out, CM Punk. It's like the treat for the smart fan, right? The fans that are not casual. The fans that are in depth with all of this. Every week, every show. That's what that was mainly for. And again, the casual fan can easily jump on board in the coming weeks. Easily. Because it's a story that pretty much tells itself. But if you need somebody to explain it, it's easy to explain. So the casual fan will be in on it in no time. But because it was after the show, per se, in a roundabout way, this was brilliant. That's exactly how Seth Rollins would act. He's not just going to stare there. He knows cameras are on him. He knows because they're going to play the whole Punk song. The whole song is being played. That's 4 or 5 minutes bare minimum? Cult of Personality? It's going to take a while. Randy Orton was even fucking around with Punk. He's put down a chair. Randy Orton put down a chair, and he points to the watch clobbering time, and he's like, dude, we got to hit the shower soon, man. Randy Orton was hilarious. He sat down dude, seriously? Randy Orton wasn't having it, bro. And Judgment Day, when I say realism, right? Not only how Rollins was acting, I would absolutely think that he'd be upset in the way that Rollins made headlines just as much as Punk. Tells you that it worked. The way that the whole wrestling world is trying to figure out if this is a work or not. And again, we fully expect it to be, or at least the beginnings of such. Even if Punk isn't totally on board yet with what the work is, I think he knows. And I think they'll do good business going forward. I think these are seeds planted out. I don't even think creative has this thing planned out. I think a lot of this is on Rollins right now. Him and maybe Punk had some talks. Maybe we can make something special here. But if it's not a full-blown work, it absolutely is going to be. And WWE, I think, will get fully on board, and this is going to be something special. But that's how Rollins should be acting. But when I say realism, guys, look at Michael Cole and Corey Graves in those videos. They are playing it so realistic. They're not cheesily, corny, in a corny way, trying to back up Rollins. Some of the referees for a moment did. It was kind of all right, dude, you're over-dramatizing a little bit. But Corey Graves and Michael Cole are just kind of calming them down as friends, right? As buddies. If you've ever been in a fight or fights with an S, or you've been with your buddies who are fighting and you're trying to calm them down, realistically, you're not just you don't got your shoulder into their gut and driving them into a brick wall and holding them back. No, once they're chill, you know that your boy, the last thing they want is you hovering all over them. But you have to be in the vicinity of your boy, right? Keep him in check. Or you're a girl. Maybe you girls got a girl that likes to scrap, right? Okay, then you know. Michael Cole and Corey Graves were there with Rollins, making sure he doesn't get up off those steps, right? There's that famous video of he's just sitting at the steps for the last part of the song, just waiting for it to get over. Refuses to even look at Punk. This is after the flipping off and saying, fuck you. This is when he just said, just fine. The referee's telling him, dude, Paul's asking you just to sit here, right? On heads, in gorilla position. Paul Levesque McMahon is telling everybody just hang tight. So he's selling it, and Michael Cole, Corey Graves are just chilling there. They're not holding them back. They're just looking away. So it's not like that they're making a big deal out of it. But every once in a while, they look at Rollins. You good, man? You good? All right, brother. Yep. And then they look around again, you know what I mean? But they're just there, just to make sure that they have Rollins in check. It was so real. And then on top of that, Judgment Day is sitting with them all, standing with them. Rhea's flipping them off. Damian looks pissed. They just went to war. Literally, it was called War Games with the faces. And now all the faces and all the heels are not talking, maybe they were talking with them. They were standing with one another, united against one common denominating enemy, CM Punk, Phil Brooks. That's what we mean by it was so real. Because never would you see that, right? When a show goes off the air with the babyface's hands raised, even when the show is literally off the air for the viewing audience, the heels stay down or they quietly, sneakily go to the back. The heels were told to stay at ringside by Levesque McMahon for the entirety of Punk's song, and they didn't bother selling their beating at War Games. They were standing up And they were pretty much united with the faces. They just went to war. Storyline-wise, that wouldn't make sense, right? That would never happen. Unless the war between them was overshadowed by one bigger war, CM Punk. The whole locker room questioning CM Punk. That's a bigger issue right now between all those gentlemen and ladies with Rhea. See what I mean? There's layers that are just... And there's a lot we don't know, right? Like, how much is a work from the jump, right? Are we giving creative too much benefit of the doubt? Like they have all this already orchestrated? Or again, is this just Seth Rollins going, well, what would I realistically do in this 5 minutes of playing CM Punk's song with him right in front of me? I'd probably do this. You know what I mean? Like maybe Punk wasn't even privy to how overboard Rollins was going to go. Maybe the heels didn't know at all that Punk was coming out, right? The first report we heard was, most of the talent in that main event was told right before they went out for the match. Well, that's pretty last minute. First of all, they haven't even collected their thoughts. They're trying to orchestrate how the match is going to go for the next 45 minutes. So they probably don't even really think about it until it's done. They just went to war, and CM Punk is going to get all the headlines by just coming out for 4 minutes and saying what's up to the crowd, overshadowing Randy Orton's return and the whole match in general, the whole event. So even the ones that were told, if that story ends up being accurate, how much were they really able to think about it and what they're really going to do when Punk is out there? And then the other report that came out hours later was that, again, a lot of the talent in that main event was just not told. Like everybody else, they were kept in the dark. Backstage, the latest report says that Punk was able to be in Gorilla around 10 minutes in the last 10 minutes of the main event. Because by then, whoever spoils it, it won't really make the rounds. Punk's coming out in 10 minutes. So, I don't know. Did Judgment Day know or not? But again, they're no-selling the war. And they're just standing united with the faces while Punk is doing his whole entrance. You would never see that live event or pay-per-view. And you saw it this past Saturday night. So if they're fully going this route, which it looks it is, and now I believe they have to, you now have a story where the locker room, the heels and the faces, because that's what you said at War Games when Judgment Day was standing side by side with the faces while or after their war and while Punk was at the ramp, top of the ramp. Now you're telling us that this locker room has a weary eye of CM Punk, and I think that's brilliant. So, and I'm just using Vince Russo as an example, by the way. I've agreed with Russo actually several times in the past year alone when a lot of people just toss Vince Russo to the wayside. You know, I totally have respect for what he did in the Attitude Era. Without him, we wouldn't have had the most captivating television that I've ever been a part of. So I just don't shit on people like Russo. I try to give respect when and where it's due and try to look at what they're actually saying. Like, what point are they really trying to make? And is it valid? But in this certain circumstance, you know, when you say only a wrestler would act the way Rollins did when Punk came out, and it's just stupid wrestling booking, once again, this is one of those scenarios where it's not. This is very realistic booking. This is very good booking. This has everybody talking. Tonight's Monday Night Raw could be the most watched Raw in a long time. I don't know what that says because they've only been pulling in 1-3s and 1-4s under Paul Levesque McMahon. And we drastically need that to change. This could be that pulse that they were waiting for. So does the most watch in a long time mean 1.7, 1.8? Maybe, but that's huge when you're only getting 1-3s and 1-4s every single week. With or without football, guys, they were only getting 1-6s and 1-7s without. So this could be huge, and it's all because not just, you're going to see Randy Orton, you're going to see CM Punk. A lot of people want to see, is there going to be something with Rollins and Punk or another seed that's planted? This got heated quick. Saturday night, Punk comes back. Rollins shares the headlines by acting the way that he did. Last night at a house show, Rollins takes it a step further when his speech is interrupted by CM Punk chants. He literally by putting the mic to his head. Like he really didn't want to talk about this right now, and he was really upset. Again, we believe this to be a work more than anything, but saturated in a lot of real life feelings, right? Because again, Rollins has told you so many times about how he feels about his good buddy, Roman Reigns, Joanna Y. And while there's respect there, no doubt, he doesn't like the fact that Roman Reigns just defends his championship so sporadically. And that while Rollins is earning his respect in the ring, Roman Reigns is booked into respect by being a specialty act, a novelty act, right? Almost like an exhibition. Every once in a while, oh, Roman's coming, like Brock Lesnar, right? That special attraction. And he gets to hold the championship and get all the headlines. Same reason Rollins didn't like the whole Punk situation. While he's in the ring, busting his ass, Punk could be sitting home for years and still get all the headlines and all the chants. I mean, on one hand, you say you can't play or hate, man. Punk made that life for himself pretty damn cool. On the other hand, you can see why that would perturb somebody who does bust his ass like Rollins. This is great. This is the type of storylines we were hoping for in WWE. You just have to find them and see how you can integrate every aspect. You know, if they kept going in AEW with CM Punk and Tony Khan, they were able to do business. You know, you wonder, could they have done something with Hangman Page? Could the Elite and Punk have done something? Or was it severed so badly there was no way imaginable? BC, unfortunately, so many times I said that it was so bad that you can't even talk business. That's how miserable Punk looked, and that's how just frantic and just not knowing what to do anymore Tony Khan was looking. The locker room was so fractured. BC was telling you guys that as much as we would love to see that storyline and Hangman Page sticking up for the locker room and you can do something cool with Hangman and Punk, as much as that would have been cool, I was one of the first to say, I think we're beyond that. We're beyond that. Everything is so fractured. I think it's best if you just part ways. Sometimes marriages have to end in divorce. WWE, I've said it from the beginning, is just more structured, right? Phil Brooks, I think, can be more relaxed in WWE. He can actually be happier. I know his past and the wedding date. I understand. He was miserable toward the end, especially. But it's the better structure fit for him. You know, if you're going up, if you're Punk and you're going up to get a water from the cooler and you bump into Randy Orton, you're probably not acting a fool in that locker room, dude. That's Randy Orton right next to you. You think Orton's going to even tolerate that? You get your water, you turn around to see where you are in the match card lineup, on the Monday Night Raw lineup. You say bye to Randy Orton, you turn around, you bump into Drew McIntyre. You ain't acting a fool, dude. McIntyre ain't going to allow that. You walk down the hall a little bit and you see a little group. You got Brock Lesnar. You got John Cena and Paul Levesque McMahon all talking about a big angle that night. Maybe even Dwayne Johnson enters frame. You're not acting a fool, man. This is big league stuff. This is big league stuff with major names. You know, it's the structure that Punk knew for the longest time that he needed to be there. When he was doing the FS1 thing, he to his credit, he was fully honest. He said, of course I'll take a call from Levesque McMahon. He said, you'd be a fool not to. It's business. So years ago, Punk was telling you he was open to a WWE return. He showed up to Raw several months ago. You guys remember that? The reports we heard is he was actually in there, actually had a brief talk with Levesque McMahon. Other reports just said, too, that him and Levesque McMahon about a week ago had a conversation. Nothing with the contract. They just, I guess, had a conversation to kind of work out any kinks in their relationship. I doubt it was fully worked out. They have some massive egos, but it was enough to do a deal later on. Anyway, that's a lot of just, there's so many reports and you got to kind of ruffle through them. Not Ruffles potato chips. There's no Tozawa here. No dancing Tozawa. But you kind of got to ruffle through all the reports and see what's like got some substance to it, what has any validity. But, man, it's interesting, guys. This is probably, I don't want to put too much stock into it, right? I say it's the most anticipated Raw that I've felt in a very long time. And it is. But I don't want to like raise the expectation so high because, I mean, you could see Punk just for like a 2-minute promo and then he doesn't even like mention, nothing happens, right? Rollins is involved with something with the Judgment Day. You don't even get any Punk stuff. Randy Orton maybe has like a squash match or maybe he's just giving a 5-minute promo. You know what I mean? I don't want to give I hope creative, man, has taken a deep breath after Survivor Series, and I hope like they have something really fun planned because they're going to have a pretty decent audience. I think bare minimum they're going to pull 200,000 to 300,000 viewers more than last week. That may not sound like a lot, but when your total viewership is 1.3, 1.4-ish, that's like a fourth of your audience you're getting added on. That's massive. And that's 2 to 3 bare minimum. I don't care about Monday Night Football. I don't care what the game is. I don't care if the Super Bowl champions are in it. I don't care who it is. The Dallas Cowboys. I don't care. Or literally the Super Bowl champ. You could put the Chiefs with the Cowboys. I don't care. I think it's actually Bears versus, speaking of Chicago, I think the Bears and the Vikings are the game tonight. 2 teams in our division, but the Packers right now, I don't even want to talk about that until they start winning more games. But I think it's Bears and Vikings. So, Chicago, yeah, they'll get a good turnout for Monday Night Football. I don't care. This is where you put on your best show. You have more than enough talent to do such. You guys see, I put up several uploads yesterday, but the last one I put up was a very interesting topic, and I spent some time on it. I'm glad you guys really enjoyed that. Because it was so fun to cut that. I didn't really have notes on that. I knew there was a babyface issue right now in WWE, which could be a good problem to have, but you still have to kind of navigate it. So I just knew that that's what I wanted to talk about, and it just ended up being just a great conversation, man. We went a while, but a really fun conversation about like who do you turn, because somebody has to go to SmackDown, right? Raw is too heavy on the babyface side with Randy Orton, Sethington Rollins, Cody Rhodes, Jey Uso, CM Punk. Over on SmackDown, you got Sami Zayn too, Raw. And over on SmackDown, you have like LA Knight and Kevin Owens. And I'm not just talking mid-carders, guys. I'm talking about top main event babyfaces. I'm not talking like Cameron Grimes, who I deeply respect. Love Cameron Grimes. I hope one day he is a main event. I'm not talking Cameron Grimes. I'm not talking Johnny Gargano or Tommaso Ciampa. I'm talking like top tier main event. There's a lot. And we also talked about the heels and how there's not enough main event heels. Gunther is still obviously mid-card with the IC, and he's in those type of matches with Miz. Does he graduate to main event level heel with the IC title, or does he drop the IC title then become main event? Gunther. Other than that, Raw only has Judgment Day, and you could pretty much equal them as one heel, because they're always involved in the same things. I like the Judgment Day. I just wish they were more fun, like do something with them. Back in the day, the NWO had a shtick. They would go into the parking lot, the street. They would find you any which way, beat you up. It'd be the big story. WCW is like, oh no, how do we take them? It was a big takeover storyline. D-Generation X, they would go to WCW just to poke the bear and have a lot of fun. And DX, you never knew what was going to happen. It had nothing to do with wrestling matches for the most part. You just knew when that group showed up, anything was going to happen. I wish Judgment Day had more of that feel, It's more than just a bunch of wrestling matches. If one guy has an issue with Judgment Day, they're going to wrestle everybody in Judgment Day, then tag matches, then 6-mans, then 8-mans. I wish we had more fun with it, because Judgment Day can get stale real quick if they haven't already. So you look at just all of Judgment Day, I look at them as just one big heel, right? It's like a transformer, right? Dominic and Damian are the legs. You got Balor over here with Rhea as the arms, or McDonuts and Balor as the arms. The rest of the body and head is like Rhea Ripley orchestrating it all. It's like a transformer. But aside from Judgment Day, again, Gunther's kind of mid-card still, even though he's badass, but he's not booked to be main event. SmackDown, you have nobody. Roman Reigns is just home all the time. He doesn't show up to work, and good for him. He's got the contract. But without Roman Reigns, who's your top heel on SmackDown? Solo Sikoa. Top heel guys. I'm not talking about little heels like Austin Theory or Grayson Waller. Those are mid-carders. There's a big difference. A lot of people are not paying money to see Grayson Waller in the main event right now or Austin Theory in the main event right now. They're not. You're going to be hard-pressed to get Solo Sikoa in the main event and have a packed house of 40 to 50,000 if you're trying to pack stadiums for sure, 60,000, and get those pay-per-view buys up. And I want to see the best for Solo, especially after what John Cena did for Solo. You better book Solo badass. But you see what I'm saying? There's a babyface issue and a heel issue in WWE right now. And that's got to be corrected. Anyway, we talked in depth about that in yesterday's upload. Just a lot to talk about, man. And it's been one of those weeks where one of those times, and I haven't had in a long time, where I just feel rejuvenated, and you get that extra gusto of just why you fell in love with professional wrestling. And sometimes it's situations you wouldn't even think. Sometimes it's people that come around that you're not even a fan of, but you just get captivated, and you know that it's just a breath of fresh air, and it's entertaining, it piques your interest, and you get enthusiastic about it. Tonight's Monday Night Raw could produce that, but they're going to have to produce a full good show. It can't just be like, oh, we're waiting 3 hours for Punk. I really hope the show produces. But we will see, man. That's what I got for you guys, man. There's a good chance I will be live before Raw, possibly. Go over the preview and have some more good discussion before Randy Orton and CM Punk return to WWE for the first time in a long time. Until next time, and there will be that next time. Top guys, we are out. BC, saying check you. Current status, out.